Hello, people. How you doing? My name is Lee Cole Three, and I'm here with my partner and friend James Proctor. James, how you doing today?
Hey, doing really well, Lee. How's things going?
Well, it's not going. It's going pretty good. I can't complain at all.
Yep.
Um, so Sammy Gravano did a show on
Hmm.
Monday, and I'm going to play what he said, and then we're going to go over it.
Sure.
Um, you're being blamed. I did a short called "No Regrets,"
Hmm.
and Sammy said the two of us. So I'm
Hmm.
sorry that I took you down that path with
Okay.
me, James. But
Hmm.
James makes 90% of the shorts, but I make some, and that was
Hmm.
one I made. And for
Okay.
some reason, Sammy seen it and didn't like it. But I'm going to call you out on this, Sammy, because you said you have no regrets, and now you're saying you're mixing up the story again. You had no regrets for what you did in your life, and so I'm going to play what he said, and then we're going to play the
Okay.
short that got him upset. And then we're going to put a list up, and we're going to go over that list. Okay.
Okay. Sure.
Okay. So let me put this up.
About me. They try to get people to watch their thing. It seems like every time they mention my name,
Okay. Just so you know, Sammy, we get as many views a day as you do. So we don't need you. We don't need to put nothing of yours up. Right, James? I mean,
Right. Yeah. I mean, we're
he does not get more views per day than us. We get more views per day than Sammy Gravano. I know you don't want to hear that, Sammy, but we really do. So, and if anybody doesn't believe that, just go to Social Blade and check out the views per day.
talk about me, whatever they say, they get views and they get hungry for it. Now, I got a couple of people, I just watched a video. Um, I don't want to talk about their names. I don't want to give them any credit, but stories, they don't have their facts right.
Okay, Sammy doesn't want to give us no credit. So what I'm going to do, James, is I'm going to give us the credit for Sammy. How's that?
okay.
Okay.
They don't have nothing right. Um, I know I was talking about something with somebody in a in a video, and I said that he asked me about regrets, and I said I do have regrets. I mean, everybody has regrets for things they do. So I continued that in saying that I don't have regrets in a way that I did bad things, ugly things, good things, but putting it all together, I changed my life and I am what I am today. So when I say I don't have regrets, of course I have regrets, but I don't know what I would have been now if I wouldn't have done the things I've done. So
This is what I don't understand. He says I don't know what I would be now if I didn't do the things I've done. So what exactly are you now? I mean, James, is that kind of a confusing answer?
Yeah. Yeah. And I'm not sure if he's referring to, yeah, because, he's had an eventful life, lots of things that he's been involved with from, being in the Colombo family, being in the Gambinos. He
And we'll go over
harmed
that list. Okay, let
all
me
that
play.
stuff, and
Yeah.
so but I'm not sure exactly what he'd be
Okay, well,
referring
we'll
to.
continue it a little bit.
having been taught by my mother, my father, Tato, bad guys, seeing things, being part of things, I really don't know what I would be now without all of that. So I have some regrets, but I can't regret everything because what would I be? I don't know what I would be. Would I be gay? Would I be a fucking weirdo?
What the hell does any of this have to do with him being gay or a weirdo?
Yeah, I mean that's yeah. I don't understand that. Where I would think is instead of being a gangster, would I've had the career in the army, for example, or would I've I'm not sure what obviously things like. preferences like that, that you're born with or whatever, that's not relevant to this. I think it's a product of the environment of where a person grows up, so it has nothing to do with what he mentioned
Yeah,
there.
right. Yeah, I just didn't
Yeah.
understand. Would I be gay? I mean,
Yeah, no.
I don't know what I would be. So I think what your past is, I mean, everybody, what your past is, if you made mistakes and you change your life, of course you want to, have regrets about it, but it made you what you are today. So now some guys, I won't mention names, took this and took all.
once again, he's talking about the person that made the video,
Right.
and that was us. We made the video. Okay. I made the video, but James is going to get played. So basically, if the mob was still around, for my ignorance and stupidity, James, you would get whacked along with me.
Okay.
All of that out and left. I don't have any regrets. And then they put a kid or two or people that got murdered, their name, and I don't have regrets. It sounded like I didn't care about them and I didn't have regrets. But this YouTube is getting crazy. They'll not only quote you, they'll take away words and make you look a certain way or
Absolutely.
it sounded a certain way. So that's what I said when I said I don't have regrets.
We're going to prove that that's not what you said, Sammy. You said you had no regrets. There was no conversation, any other conversation about it. Point blank, you said you have no regrets for anything you ever done. And I called you out on it. And now you're saying that you didn't mean it the way you said it. You're trying to change the story, Sammy, not me.
It's made me what I am today, good, bad, or indifferent. I mean, I went into the military. I was drafted. I made the best of it. I trained to go to Vietnam. I never went to Vietnam, but I trained for it to kill. I went to, down south, Louisiana in the swamps training because that's like Vietnam. And they're brainwashing you and they're teaching you how to kill and stuff like that. Now, what if I didn't have that in my life? I mean, I don't know what I would be.
Yeah.
So it's everything you've done, good things, bad things.
Training in the James, do you think training in the Army had anything to do with him going around killing people?
And he's mentioned that before. So, he was in the Rampers before he went into the military, and I think the point he's trying to make is that the military teaches you to kill, and that's true. But also, you're taught to when
Discipline.
to do, yeah, discipline on it. And so, I wouldn't say that his path with the Army. I mean, the Army, it didn't change him any because he went back to the person he was after he got out of the military.
And
so
before he went into the military, was he a violent man already with the Rampers?
yeah, I mean, he was
Very
that was-
violent.
yeah,
We heard
very
some
violent.
stories.
Yes.
He did some very violent things with the Rampers. So when he went into the military, he was already violent. He already had that in him. So
Yeah.
he could use the military as an excuse. But we know a lot of people in the military that don't come out and kill people.
Right.
There's women who are a little wild, and then they got a little older, and they changed their ways. They're good women.
Who are you talking about?
No, I'm not talking about any.
Even she's confused. What's he talking about? It's like, does any of this conversation make sense so far?
No, I mean, I think he's trying to think out loud, I guess,
And sometimes
so-
thinking out loud is not a good thing. You're better off thinking to yourself than talking.
Yeah, and that's kind of where we had mentioned that. I think that the difference between when we saw Sammy on the scripted, our thing videos, that was came across one way there, and now on these lives when he's having to kind of think on the
It's
without
much different. It's
yeah.
much more different when you're not scripted.
yeah. So yeah, I mean, I'm sure it's confusing.
any individual, but I'm just saying that, you know, everybody has something in their past that they regret and would like to change it. But in reality, it made you what you are today. What's important is not what you did years ago, it's what you did now in recent life. I think I was a good husband, decent husband. I think I was a good father to my daughter and my son. I thought I taught them good things and how to conduct themselves. Everybody who knows.
When you hear this, when he says that he was a good father, he was good to his wife and good to his children, what's the first thing that comes to your mind?
Well, unfortunately, it's the what happened in Arizona with the getting his children, his wife, his whole family involved in the ecstasy ring is what came to mind. I think obviously I do believe he loves his family. I believe
Without a
that, but
doubt.
it was but it's that's kind of hard to say that when you had that
And
happen.
on top of that though, he was in his 50s
Yeah, yeah,
when he did
and
this. So
right.
he lived more than half of his life already.
Hmm.
And he did this in
Yeah,
his 50s. It's not like
right.
he was 30 years old and started the drug ring and his children were involved in it. Everybody around him, all the people he claims to love, were involved in that drug ring.
Yeah.
My daughter Karen or my son Gerard loves them. Now they made mistakes. They're just great people. I got grandchildren. I got, so many things. I mean, Lily doesn't do the right thing all the time. I love her because she's a great dog. She does good things. Now, would I like her now if she was a poodle? No. I like her for what she is right now. And what she was as a puppy, she might have tore up half the house or whatever she did. I can care less. Maybe she has regrets. You could ask a dog. So it's a tough question to answer, or to ask, and to answer. So that's the way I answered it. But they took my words, put them in another.
That's not the way he answered it. What do you just hear? Did Sammy? I watched that whole interview that you did. You didn't answer it. You went right to, "I have no regrets. Prove me
Hmm.
wrong."
Way. It's like I didn't give a fuck about anybody I hurt or killed or whatever.
Right.
I mean, and that wasn't true. Wasn't what I said, what I meant. So I'm glad this question came up because,
Absolutely.
of course I got regrets. I mean, I don't think if you don't have regrets, something's wrong with you. If you
Absolutely.
did bad things. I mean, if you were a saint, who's that? Mother Teresa? Mother Teresa.
Well, we're going to stop it there because once he starts talking about Mother Teresa, things get really kooky. Uh, okay. Why do you think and I'm going to show the video now. When I'm done with the video, tell me why you think this video bothered, because Sammy doesn't really talk too much about things. People say negative things all the time about Sammy. Joey Merlino goes after him hard. Mikey Scars go after him hard. But yet, this one video that I put up, has bothered him.
Yeah.
So let's play this video.
Yep.
And this is on our channel, people.
I look at myself and what I've done. I have no regrets of what I've done.
See, on the bottom there, when he says he has no regrets, I show the people that he murdered or that's something to do with the murders.
Hmm. Okay.
My prison time, I've learned how to become me. Now, so many things in my life. I went to prison for ecstasy. I got a 20-year sentence. I did 17 years, 7 months. First 6.5 years of that time was in the hole. I hated it. It was so lonely. I've never felt loneliness like that in my life. I'm happy it was done to me. I know I felt things that I would not normally feel. I felt. He, I thought when you're a strong person and you hit serious problems, life or death situations, all that, you become stronger.
Okay. So you see it on the bottom, some of the victims I put, right?
Right. I see that.
And that bothered him.
Yes.
Okay. So maybe he has regrets, but this is very questionable. And let me tell you why, James. Because if he has regrets, why did he say that Alan Kaiser was high on drugs and came running at him? Why did he say he hated Nicky Cowboy and he was glad he fought? He watched in the back when he got killed and he was happy about it.
Mm-hmm.
Why did he say that he hated Louis DeBono and he was glad he got killed? Did he literally say those things about those guys getting killed? That he was glad they got killed?
Yeah, I mean Louis DeBono definitely, with Nicky Cowboy, that was more in his book, and then
Well,
he said,
he said on here that he was glad when Nick.
oh
He
yeah,
said,
yeah, he said
he
that
said on here,
because he was,
Nicky
yeah,
Cowboy. He said that,
right, yep,
and then
and
I'm
no,
sorry.
you're right. No, I'm just saying that, yeah, and then the thing is that for me, you could argue that these were part of that life, but not the Alan Kaiser. The Alan Kaiser one is something that he hasn't made an effort to, to. The problem I have, that's the biggest problem. I mean, I could say all these others were part of the life. It was, you know, uh, for good or for bad, whatever. It's never good killing one. But for Alan, he wasn't involved in that life, and the thing is that the family still to this day has no closure, and he's never tried to reach out to him. He hadn't talked to him. I mean, he said he did, but we had the interview where he didn't. That's where the biggest issue I have with Sammy is just not. He can't make up for what he did, but he could at least be a decent person and reach out to Joy and just, you know,
And was
talk
he
to her
making so he was involved with killing his friend Louis Molito, his best friend.
as his best
And
friend.
then
Yeah.
he went on to trash the hell out of his wife, a widow.
Yeah, and that's another thing, when you start, yeah, I just think that that's not good taste to be. I mean, again, she's another person. She doesn't have closure. When people don't have closure, you know, they're not necessarily going to be happy, And so, and I understand that she trashed him in her book. I understand, but again,
But she
my
has the
understanding.
right to trash him
She has
because
the right. He
he
gave her
killed,
a couple of
he was
$1,000 and
responsible for
said,
the
"Don't
hell.
bother me anymore."
Right. And she didn't even though he said that John Gotti ordered that hit, she didn't go after John Gotti.
No, because the thing was is that Gotti. The thing was is that if Gotti did authorize it, it was Sammy that went to Gotti and asked for permission to do that. And so, I mean, the thing is that it all boiled down to there was, the issue that he was, he was with, instead of being with Sammy, he was with Paul Castellano and Bilotti. He was doing business with them, and Sammy didn't like that. And then once they had control of the family, then, uh, he was basically in harm's way at that point.
Okay, so he testifies against Gotti, right?
He testified against Gotti.
Okay, let me put up. Before I say this, let me put this up. 1 second. And people, if I could see this, James, you know what's on this list, right?
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Okay, so if we were, this is a list that I'd like to read to Sammy and say, Sammy, you never really you never had any regrets for these things. One
Mm-hmm.
is going into a life starting as a teen hoodlum as with the Rampers and becoming part of the Columbos. Do you have any regrets about that? You know what though? On that one, if he doesn't have any regrets, I can understand.
Yeah, I could too.
Okay, how about taking your first life? When he describes Joe Colucci, was it?
Joseph Colucci, yeah.
He talks about how he murdered him and then how he shot him out the window 3 more times. He
And he
never
said he
said
didn't feel anything. He said he didn't have any fear, didn't feel anything with it.
yeah. He said he has never felt anything about that. He's literally said that with his own mouth.
Right. And he talked about they were playing the Beatles song "Let It Be" in the background when he did the deed. He remembers all of that, but he said he didn't feel anything after he did that.
And then taking an innocent life of Alan Kaiser. How can you say that you have regrets about that when you went there and you said that he came at you and that he was he was acting like a drug addict when autopsy showed no drugs in his body and he was shot in the back of the head as if he was running away. When he fell on the street, his body hit the ground face first.
Yeah.
So it's obvious he was running away and he was an innocent witness. He got killed because he was in the wrong place at the wrong time, and you tried to make him friends with this Aldo guy. You tried to say he was on drugs and he came for the gun. Does any of that sound like regret, James?
No, not at all on that.
Okay,
And then he didn't. And then I think the other thing is that, and we mentioned that he said that he's reached out to the family, and we've talked to the family, Joy, and just they said it never happened.
Yes, the only time one family member tried one time, and that was it. And Sammy never
It
did.
wasn't Sammy, yeah.
And Sammy said Gerard did. Gerard never did. Okay. Another thing is, how about the fact that do you have regrets? You're with your family and you killed your brother-in-law. This devastated your wife because it was her brother. She never knew you murdered him until you went to the FBI and started talking about the people you murdered. So for all those years, she had no idea who murdered him.
Yeah, and that was the part that, when they were negotiating for him to be a witness, that was the one thing he wanted the government to not require him to even bring that up, because he said, he couldn't do that to his wife, but they said, yeah, you're going to have to. But then, in the trials, they didn't bring that murder up, and they didn't bring up the murder of Alan Kaiser once they were in trial.
And Sammy, and I just like to say to Sammy, okay, I made the video, Sammy, but James did this really good list that I'm reading right now. Okay, so don't give him a free pass. Okay. Then the Castellano hit. Do you have any regrets about the Castellano hit? 2 guys murdered in the street. Do you have any regrets about it? If you don't, I can understand that, But you basically
very well from that.
And at that time, Castellano trusted him, and did Castellano trust Gotti? No, but did he trust Gravano? Yes.
Yeah.
Okay, killing his friends and getting ahead of. Okay, how many friends did he kill where he got ahead? DiBernardo and Merlino. Would you say that's two people
Louis
right there?
Melito and Robert DiBernardo, because the unions and the businesses, and they and someone got his book of business talking about Melito supposedly had several 100,000 on the street, and I guess Sammy got that. It didn't go back to the family at all.
And then another one is that Sammy said he loved being a gangster. He loved everything about it. We've heard him say that, right? And he misses it.
Yeah.
Okay, so becoming a cooperating witness and betraying the oath. So he betrayed something that he loved. Does he regret that?
Yeah, I mean, that's that the thing is he's going to say, well, this is who he is today. And one of the best comments I've heard on this subject of just cooperating is that when you do that, that you turn in your gangster card. And so I think, even like Mikey Scars and people like that, they're not going to pretend to still be a gangster or have that desire because they realize what they did was so grievous. It was such and someone like Mikey Scars that had been in that life, talking about his family came from generations in that life, and I know that Sammy's family was not involved in that life. He was raised as a good kid, is my understanding. His parents raised him right, but he didn't have um, any sort of really family background in that life. Maybe one family member, but it's just to me he had other choices that he could have made.
Yeah. And another thing, okay, I can understand he's pissed at Gotti. He says
Yeah.
he is, and he testified against Gotti. But does he have any regret testifying against all those other guys some that he didn't even know? He knew of their crimes, but he didn't know them. Do you have any regret testifying against them? Because none of them guys testified against you, Sammy.
Right. And yeah, and and there are some questions, I know that some of the people in his crew he did not testify against, while others he did. I know obviously with the Chin, that's, is another family, but I'm sure he didn't have any issue with that, because of everything that had went down. But,
Well, and he had no trouble testifying against Frankie Loke.
yeah, that's a good point. Yeah.
I mean, and
And
he's
then
always
later
saying what
he
a
did
great.
want to, he did advocate for his release later on,
That's what he
and
says.
yeah,
You know, that doesn't
right,
mean it happened.
right.
Okay. Okay. So that's another thing. And finally, and this is how we'll close this out, Sammy. You have regrets, and then how about the thing that you did, the worst thing you've done out of everything you've done? And you've done some bad things from Alan Kaiser, especially Alan Kaiser. And if you take Alan Kaiser and the one other thing that you took, you could have went to your son and said, no, you're not dealing drugs. At that time, you had money, Sammy. So it didn't make sense when you said that you went in to protect your son. The
Mhm.
reality is, at that time, you had money. If your son owed money, you could have easily helped him out.
Right.
And yet, instead, you dove right into that business, and you started pushing money through your wife's restaurant. I mean, you can't get, and then you brought your wife in, you brought your
Mhm.
daughter-in-law in, you brought your daughter in, you brought her boyfriend in, and you brought in your son. So how much regret do you have about that?
Yeah,
James,
and
I'm gonna
that,
let you finish
yeah,
that
and
out.
that, right, and so yeah, and that's what I don't understand the reason for. I do know that when he had a new life in Arizona, that that he wasn't being he was out in the open of who he was. When you go to the coffee shops, there was college kids looked up to him. I think that obviously there's a little bit of an ego boost of being able to be recognized, and I think he saw an opportunity to make some good money. He still had connections in New York, and this thing could have it was at least in Sammy's eyes, he
He
felt
became the
it.
largest dealer. He became the largest ecstasy dealer in Arizona and
hmm
Texas.
Yeah, exactly. And I think he just saw, he was talking about, being able to have like an Arizona mob family, that type of stuff. And so, yeah, I think that, he probably thought that he could be able to stay in that life. And then, the other thing is that I think that he felt that he kind of had one on over the government, meaning that, he had a good relationship with them. He probably thought that maybe he had a little bit of the ability to get away with some stuff, And so, the judge, I mean, that was, I know that some people say, oh, well, he got 20 years. That seemed to be overkill. But I think the judge was just so upset. And plus, it was concurrent with state chart, state senates as well. I think they were just upset because again, someone that had cooperated, they had went into the program, he'd gotten out, and then was basically doing the same crimes. He hadn't changed from the person he was.
Well, I think, and we tried to cover this, people, because it's
Yep.
regrets. Sammy did a show and said that that's not how he said it. That's exactly how he said it. There was no in between. That because if we get accused of cutting something out, we have to defend ourselves, and that's why we brought this up.
Yeah.
That's all I could say. But James, I just find it very interesting that Sammy Gravano is watching our shorts.
Yeah.
Well, and I'm glad that we're not in prison and he's watching our shorts.
Yeah. Yep, that's true.
Okay, James, what would you like to say before we close this out?
No, I just think that when you need to look at we didn't do any sort of cutting of the conversation. You can look at definitely at what he said. He said he didn't have any regrets. And the way that he explained it in his show, that just wasn't the case. He definitely said he didn't have regrets. What he said, obviously I have regrets and all that. Yeah, I mean that's probably true, but that's not what he said previously.
And this isn't like a burglar robbing a guy that's a burglar for 20 years.
No.
And he says I have no regrets. This is not like a guy that had a fight with somebody and won the fight and has no regrets. This is about a guy who's a killer, saying that he had no regrets for that lifestyle. And with that, James, I like to say thank you. People, please subscribe. But being I to edit these now, I don't even have to say that anymore because I put in beeping sounds and everything now. Okay. With that, everybody, thank you. Take care. Right underneath here, tell us what you think. Do you think Sammy Gravano is capable of having regrets? Do you think he really regrets anything? Take care, people.